There was even a severe thunderstorm warning issued in Goderich, and it appeared to be a rotating supercell in eastern Ontario. We're going to transition from thunderstorms in Ontario to weekend snow. We have watches in place for snow squalls, and we'll explain to you the lake effect setup. Let's look at temperatures across the country, though. Beautiful in Vancouver today, 20 degrees, just 8 in Winnipeg, and St. John's at 11. So the variation of temperatures here really show that we're in the heart of the fall season. Here's a look at King City, Ontario. The hail from those thunderstorms that were rolling through. Are you ready for some? To transition, looking at the hail, to a taste of the snowfall and the shovels. So here we go. As we head into the overnight hours tonight, even as early as 10 p.m., it looks like we could have some lake effect streamers in this zone, your typical snow belt region. Snow squall watches have been put into place for areas like Barrie. Then southwestern Ontario, your biggest setup is going to be Saturday night into Sunday. Anywhere in the lighter shades, this is merely a trace, so you could see a passing flake or two. And just bear in mind, with lake effect, they're very distinct streamers. So to the west of you could be nothing, and then you could be dealing with 15 centimeters of snow to shovel. This is a look at our cumulative snowfall in through the weekend, so you can see the Niagara region looks to be spared. It's mainly these higher elevation zones, and special weather statements have been put into place for these lake effect flurries with those northwesterly winds. Must-see video coming out of Marquette, Michigan. This was with the storms that were also seen in Ontario. The same system. It was a water spout. Luckily didn't make landfall. Coming up, we're going to break down your story in the west. How long will the ridge last that's warming up Alberta and BC? As well, we join Nicole Karkic with Share Your Weather. Thanks, Rachel. Coming up this hour, we'll talk about the weekend rains in the west as well, where the thunderstorm risk lies in the Maritimes today. And for Ontario, the story is going from thunderstorms to snowfall. Who will see them and how much? All those details are ahead. But right now, we're going to catch up with Nicole Karkic with Share Your Weather. Storm risk in place for Atlantic Canada, and snow to talk about in Ontario. Meteorologist Nicole Karkic and Dr. Doug Gillum join us with more on that in a moment. Looking to the west, though, it looks like Vancouver, you'll be mainly cloudy and drizzly through your Saturday, so not as intense rain as what will be seen into the north coast. Must-see video coming. And luckily for BC, much calmer winds this weekend compared to last. We do have some weekend snow ahead to talk about for some. We have the squall watches, and we will explain lake effect snowfall to you because that is the reality for southern Ontario. There are lake effect flurry special weather statements in place on the southeastern shores of Huron and Georgian Bay. And in that same stretch, we are looking at snow squall watches. Now, this snow event in two waves, picking up around 10 p.m. through southern Ontario tonight through the overnight. The main bullseye for that is southeastern Georgian Bay, and then Saturday night into Sunday, the southeastern shores of Huron. But I do want to emphasize it's lake effect, so it's highly variable accumulations and highly variable as to who sees them. So not everyone will have the shovels. Sudbury, Ontario, this was the scene yesterday. Very active conditions. We've really gone from thunderstorms to a winter-like weather setup. Looking across the country this afternoon, 20 degrees, warm in Vancouver, 14 for you in Calgary. Meanwhile, in areas like Halifax, we do have the threat of some thunderstorm development. Looking ahead for the weekend in the west, a bit of good news in Vancouver. Saturday will be cloudy, drizzly, but not as rainy as initially thought, although we will see some rain along Vancouver Island and in through the central and north coast. Ottawa, your 7-day forecast, kind of an indicator that it's not exactly the time to get the winter tires on yet, as there will be a midweek warm-up. Regina as well, beautiful weekend. That ridge bringing you 17 degrees on your Sunday. Must-see video.
Fudge, so it was bound to win.
For the Weather Network, I'm Michelle Mackey. That's actually really good.
Thanks for that, Michelle. Krissy, Vann, along with you. We're going to hear a special message from our own Tom Reynolds in a moment, but let's go across the country. Look at this. Vancouver, 20 degrees this afternoon, a dry south coast. In through Alberta as well, dry conditions, comfortable. Calgary at 14 degrees. That ridge really helping you out in the jet stream. For the prairies, we have calmer winds, but still over the interlake region, a couple bands of lake effect showers as well as mixing, and that's just east of Lake Winnipeg. Looking this this afternoon on Ontario. Snow to the north, Kapuskasing seeing that. We've had some lake effect showers today along Georgian Bay and Lake Huron, but you may not like what's to come for the weekend. We have a lake effect set up for those southeastern shores of Georgian Bay, Lake Huron tonight and repeating Saturday night into Sunday. Some areas could see 15 centimeters. Meanwhile, this was the scene in Coniston, Ontario, and we also saw a funnel cloud spotted, a water spout, in through Lake Superior. So luckily, this didn't make landfall as they had to issue a tornado warning as it inched ever closer to shore. As we travel back to Blue Jays time, I have the Blue Jays blue on. The game in Kansas City, 13 degrees today. Calm winds for you in Quebec, 10 in Montreal. Seeing those showers, Saguenay, some increasing cloud. Meanwhile, in Labrador, we are talking about widespread snowfall into Saturday. I'll talk about the thunderstorm risk for the Maritimes coming up, but right now, Tom Reynolds, you may have seen him doing your Toronto or Alberta traffic. He is retiring today, such a special member of our team, and he has a great safety message for distracted driving to share. Krissy, Vann and Dr. Doug Gillum joining you. We're going to be talking about next week, but first, there is a huge story for some for this weekend.
Yeah, what a temperature contrast is. Mild in the west, those milder temperatures eventually will spread east, but during the weekend, the coldest weather of the season in the Great Lakes, our first freeze, our first flakes. Those cold temperatures are in the Maritimes as well. What a contrast. 17 in Regina, only 6 in Toronto for a high.
Yeah, and when we look into Sunday, you can see these are your highs, Kapuskasing, just 2 degrees.
Right, so again, throughout southern Ontario, we're going to see temperatures going below freezing Sunday morning and Monday morning. And with that, we have our lake effect snow. Bands of lake effect snow in the traditional snow belt, southeast of Georgian Bay and Huron. Locally, some significant accumulations. Of course, not everybody will see that. In the GTA, just looking for flurries below the escarpment, south of the 401. Places like Orangeville could get several centimeters of snow.
Certainly. So it's going to be highly variable accumulations with lake effect. That is quite typical. Otherwise, across the country on Sunday, fairly quiet. We do have this in Labrador, though, getting some significant snowfall.
Now, as we head into early next week, Election Day, weather should not be a reason for not getting out and voting. The weather fairly quiet across southern Canada. A few areas picking up some showers. We do have some gusty southwesterly winds increasing during the day on Monday, bringing in some warmer temperatures to southern Ontario. Winnipeg 15, not too bad. And those warmer temperatures continue to build as we go into Tuesday. 16 in Toronto and Windsor, up to 18 degrees.
So that's kind of a sign it's not a time to rush out and get the snow tires on your vehicle because temperatures are still going to recover in through the week, though a couple periods of rain.
Right, we will see some unsettled weather for places like Ottawa and a system developing as we go through Thursday and into Friday. We'll bring a cold front through the region, but temperatures will not be as cold behind that front as what we're seeing this weekend.